You didn't go to college.
Never went to college. Don't believe in college for writers. I think it's very dangerous. I think too many professors are too opinionated and too snobbish and too intellectual, and the intellect is a great danger to creativity.
The intellect is a danger to creativity?
Terrible danger, because you begin to rationalize and make up reasons for things instead of staying with your own basic truth, who you are, what you want to be. And I've had a sign over my typewriter for 25 years now, which reads, "Don't think. You must never think at the typewriter, you must feel." And then your intellect is always buried in that feeling anyway. You collect up a lot of data, you do a lot of thinking away from your typewriter, but at the typewriter you should be living. It should be a living experience, just as when I'm here with you, speaking to you, you're popping all sorts of questions at me. I don't have time to think about them. I can react to them. I try to say things that are meaningful in reaction to them. If I stopped and thought too long, we'd both of us fall asleep. And that can happen at the typewriter too, that and the worst thing you do when you think is lie. You can make up reasons that are not true for the things that you did. And what you're trying to do as a creative person is surprise yourself, find out who you really are, and try not to lie, try to tell the truth all the time. And the only way to do this is by being very active and very emotional, and get it out of yourself, and making lists of things that you hate and things that you love. And you write about these then, intensely. And when it's over, then you can think about it. Then you can look at it, well, it works or it doesn't work, something's missing here. And then if something is missing, you go back and re-emotionalize that, so it's all of a piece. But thinking is to be a corrective in our life. It's not supposed to be the center of our life. Living is supposed to be the center of our life. Being is supposed to be the center, with correctives around, which hold us like the skin holds our blood and our flesh in. But our skin is not our way of life. The way of our living is the blood pumping through our veins, the ability to sense and to feel and to know. And the intellect doesn't really help you very much there. You should get on with the business of living.
You rely heavily upon intuition?
Oh, completely. Everything of mine is intuitive. All the poetry I've written, I couldn't possibly tell you how I did it. I don't know anything about the rhythms or the schemes or the inner rhymes or any of this sort of thing. It comes from 40 years of reading poetry and having heroes that I loved. Feeling, again. I love Shakespeare. I don't intellectualize about him. I love Gerard Manley Hopkins. I don't intellectualize about him. I love Dylan Thomas. I don't know what in the hell he's writing about half the time, but he sounds good. He rings well. I'll give you an example of this sort of thing. I walked into my living room, 20 years ago, when one of my daughters was about 4 years old, and a Dylan Thomas record was on the set, and I thought that my wife had put the record on. Come to find out, my 4-year-old had put on his record, and I came into the room. She pointed to the record and said, "He knows what he's doing."
Really?
Now that's great. That's not intellectualizing.
That's feeling.
It's an emotional reaction. So if there is no feeling, there cannot be great art. Just if the feeling is missing, just forget it. You'll never make it as an artist.
Ray, you've said that the greatest teacher and the greatest school you ever had was Charles Laughton, who taught you, who helped you rediscover Shakespeare and Shaw.
He certainly was one of my, he was the best male teacher I had. My best female teacher was a wonderful lady in LA High School, Jeanette Johnson, who is still alive and around 83 years old, living out in Claremont. And Charlie Laughton, on the other hand, again, emotionally, taught me by simply standing on his own 2 feet, on his hearth, in his home, and giving me the opening scenes of Richard III and Hamlet and Othello, and reminding me again of what language can do in the theater. Again, feeling. The feeling of the language. Yeah, the love of this, which rolled out of the man, you know, his passion for Shakespeare, not intellectualizing. So he then taught me to go back to my own plays and dare to feel and dare to speak in tongues and use the language again and hope that people will stay with you and not worry about the plot, because you don't go to Hamlet to find out who in hell murdered Hamlet's father. That's not what it's about. What it's about is listening to the asides. Everything in art is an aside. All the great novels, the reason you go to read them is not the plot, it's for the philosophical asides, to find out who Ernest Hemingway is, or who Steinbeck is, or who Faulkner is, or you name your own novelist or poet, but it's always an aside, having nothing to do with the main drive.
When you say who they
novel.
are, elsewhere you've written that the character of the story is a kind of medium in a seance with the author and that other self inside the author.
Right.
The process of writing then is a process, as you said earlier, of self-discovery, of the hidden parts.
Yeah, the typewriter should be on a Ouija board, and your hands move on it and reveal things about yourself you don't know. For instance, in my novel Fahrenheit 451, my character Montag is myself discovering me. You know, really, there are those sides of our character which are destructive, and you bring them out in the open, and then you find ways of becoming creative. So the character of Montag is a totalitarian who discovers he's burning in not just books, but ideas. And then he sets out in search of rediscovering himself and discovering how to read and how to be alive through reading. And then he gives up his profession and becomes a destroyer of the destroyers and comes out on the right side of the situation.
You've referred to yourself as a child of the libraries.
Yes, indeed. And I use the library the same way I've been describing the creative process to you as a writer. I don't go in with lists of things to read. I go in blindly and reach up on shelves and take down books and open them and fall in love immediately. And if I don't fall in love that quickly, shut the book, back on the shelf, find another book, and fall in love with it. You can only go with loves in this life. And
what about reading lists?
They can't help you most of the time. You got to prowl around everywhere, and people don't have any fun because they don't ever go over in the children's section. But I go over in the children's section all the time. I try to keep up on what's being done in every field, and most children's books are 10 times more enjoyable than the average American novel right now. So I looked on the shelves of the children's libraries years ago, and I said, I want to lean cheek by jowl, shoulder to shoulder with my real heroes, Mark Twain, Charles Dickens, Robert Louis Stevenson, Edgar Allan Poe. And as a result of this kind of emotional thing and rejecting all the modern American novelists, most of them the last 20 years, I have become a father to a lot of children, and these books are indeed leaning against the shoulders of good old Charlie Dickens and Mark Twain.
You haven't mentioned Edgar Rice Burroughs, and you've referred to him as one of your fathers.
Yes, indeed he was. When I was 10, fell completely under the spell of Tarzan and John Carter, Warlord of Mars. These are not on any reading lists anywhere in the world. They are reviled and detested by all of the teachers and all the librarians, and most of the libraries don't even carry his books. And yet without Tarzan and without Mr. Burroughs writing about John Carter, Warlord of Mars, I would never have grown to be 12 feet tall and taken off from Mars myself. This is the emotional thing, you see. You must galvanize people so they want to be completely alive and live forever, or the next thing to it. And out of that comes art then, and survival through emotion, no matter what happens. Even though the world can try to crush you and put you down with facts, you break up through the concrete and say, damn it all, I'm a blade of grass and I will survive. But you survive with people like Mr. Burroughs, first of all.